We have all heard the same fact about prehistoric humans. Life was nasty, brutal, and short. Cavemen barely made it past 30. So, imagine our guy Grog here. He just celebrated his big 3-0, according to modern textbooks. His free trial of life has officially expired. He digs his grave, lies down, and waits for the sweet embrace of death. He waits and waits. Seasons pass, decades pass. Grog is now 65 years old. He has a massive gray beard, and he is extremely confused. So why didn't he die? Because the famous prehistoric humans died at 30 idea is not really a fact about aging. It is one of the most persistent statistical misunderstandings people keep repeating as history. Welcome to the reality of the prehistoric retirement home. To understand why Grog is still breathing, we need to talk about math. Specifically, we need to clarify the massive difference between life expectancy at birth and actual lifespan. Imagine a tiny prehistoric tribe with exactly 2 people. One is a baby who tragically catches a severe infection and dies before their first birthday. The other survives childhood, avoids predators, disease, and accidents, and lives to be a healthy 60-year-old elder. If someone calculates the average age at death between those 2 people, what do they get? Boom, about 30 years old. Does that mean the 60-year-old spontaneously combusted on his 30th birthday? Of course not. It's like the old statistical joke. If Elon Musk walks into a local coffee shop, the average net worth of everyone in that room suddenly jumps to hundreds of millions of dollars. Averages get completely skewed by extreme numbers. And in the Stone Age, the extreme number driving down the average wasn't adults dropping dead in their prime. It was the incredibly harsh reality of early childhood mortality. The Stone Age wasn't a biological ticking time bomb programmed to end at 30. It was an extreme high-stakes survival obstacle course. Before the advent of modern medicine, simply growing up was playing life on ultra-hard mode. You didn't have antibiotics, you didn't have climate-controlled rooms, vaccines, or purified water. A simple scraped knee could lead to a fatal infection. A harsh winter could mean starvation. Because of these brutal environmental factors, a tragically large percentage of the prehistoric population simply didn't survive to see their teenage years. But, and this is the massive but, if you managed to survive that early childhood gauntlet, your biological destiny changed completely. You still had to avoid accidents, violence, famine, and disease. But your body was not programmed to expire at 30. Reaching your 50 sex, 60 sex, or even 70 sex was absolutely possible. Once Grog hit 15 years old, he had successfully passed the Great Filter. His immune system was incredibly resilient, having adapted to the local environment. His lifestyle was fundamentally different from ours. He wasn't sitting at a desk for 9 hours a day. He had a diverse, fiber-rich diet of foraged plants, nuts, and wild game. He moved constantly, walking, carrying, climbing, gathering, digging, and tracking animals across uneven ground. Biomechanically speaking, Grog at 40 was probably in better functional shape than many modern 2-5-year-old office workers living on energy drinks, processed sugar, and chronic stress. Fast forward a few decades, Grog is now 65. He has lived a long, wild, and successful life, but biology is still biology. His cartilage is wearing thin, his knees sound like bubble wrap when he stands up, and his lower back is constantly screaming. Out on the hunt, the young Chad of the tribe is throwing spears with the explosive power of an Olympic athlete. Meanwhile, Grog throws his back out just trying to pick up a heavy piece of firewood. In a harsh world where you essentially only eat what you can gather or kill, a guy who can no longer physically keep up might seem like a massive liability. If you look at this purely through the lens of brute force, you might be thinking, this is it. This is where the tribe leaves old Grog behind. He is slower. He eats food. He cannot hunt like he used to. What is he still for? Actually, archaeological evidence tells a completely different story of human compassion. We have found ancient skeletons of individuals who lived for years without teeth, meaning their tribe members actively chewed their food for them. Evolution is ruthlessly efficient. If older individuals were simply useless calorie vacuums, nature would have bred them out of existence millions of years ago. So why did evolution select for humans to live decades past their physical prime? Let's look at a scenario. A sudden, unprecedented mega drought hits the continent. The local rivers turn to cracked mud. The animal herds migrate away. Panic begins to set in among the tribe. Chad, with all his glorious, peak performance muscles, tries to fight the drought. He frantically stabs the dry dirt. He flexes his superior physique at the sun. Nothing works. Pure physical strength and fast reflexes are completely useless against a shifting climate system. The tribe is days away from dying of severe dehydration. Enter Grog. While the young hunters are panicking, Grog sits calmly. He closes his eyes. He is accessing the most powerful supercomputer in the prehistoric world, his long-term memory. Grog dives deep into his mental archives. Half a century ago, when Grog was just a kid, a similar devastating drought ravaged the land. He clearly remembers his grandfather taking him to a specific, unassuming dry riverbed and showing him how to dig deep beneath the baking sand to find the hidden, subterranean groundwater. Chad has never seen a drought like this in his short life. He has no idea what to do, but Grog does. He points a shaky, arthritic finger at a patch of dirt everyone else ignored and tells the young hunters to dig. Water, sweet life-saving water. Not because Grog was stronger. Not because he was faster. Because he remembered. This scenario illustrates a concept anthropologists call the grandmother hypothesis, though it heavily applies to grandfathers too. Humans, alongside a few specific whale species, are incredibly rare in the animal kingdom because we regularly live long past our reproductive years. Why? Why? Because in a world before the internet, before written language, before maps, before weather forecasts, and before libraries, the elders were the archive. They were not a burden to the tribe. They were the ultimate survival tool. Grog couldn't run fast anymore, but he knew exactly which plants were highly nutritious and which ones were a one-way ticket to the afterlife. He knew how to read the subtle changes in the weather and the stars. He knew the complex migration patterns of animals that only occurred once every 2 decades. Furthermore, while the young adults were out hunting, the elders could stay at camp, crafting complex tools, tending the fire, and watching the children, which massively increased the survival rate of the next generation. By having a few elders survive into their 60s and 70s, the tribe essentially possessed a downloaded, biological encyclopedia of survival tactics. The heavy physical labor belonged to the young, but the deep pattern recognition belonged to the old. Grog was not just a tired old man, he was the tribe's memory bank. So, the next time someone casually tells you that prehistoric humans all dropped dead at 30, you can politely let them know that they fundamentally misunderstand statistical averages. We evolved to grow old because wisdom, not just muscle, kept our entire species alive. It's a bit ironic that in the Stone Age, elders were treated like living gods of knowledge, while today, we mostly just tell them to stop clicking on suspicious links on Facebook. Stay curious, respect your elders, and I'll see you next time.